At some point, every high school student has to go through the excruciating process of sitting at a desk for almost 4 hours. The tedious act of answering confusing questions, reading excerpts of passages over and over again, and anxiously looking at the time to check the amount of time you have left. It's the overwhelming practice of taking standardized tests such as the SAT or ACT. Same as the other million students who had to take the SAT or ACT in May, I endured the same agonizing process of anxiously awaiting my scores. Once I received them, I was appalled because I knew my abilities were stronger than the score I received. A standardized test is a test involving a series of questions that are distributed under the same conditions and procedures. These tests are supposedly utilized to assess a student's academic preparedness for college. Yet it seems as though these standardized tests can either be our exception or rejection from a promising future. SAT and ACT scores are supposed to display our overall academic achievement. However, not a single test is accurate enough to reflect a student's overall educational wellness throughout the years. That brings me to the point that standardized tests should be abolished due to their inaccuracy to reflect the student's knowledge and student achievement. Also, the tests are subjective, therefore affects the amount of students who have the ability to either pass or fail. One single test taken in high school does not accurately represent one's knowledge from grades kindergarten to 11. According to fairtest.org, standardized tests do not reflect current knowledge of a student. These tests are weak measures of the ability to comprehend complex material, write, apply math, and understand scientific methods and reasoning. These tests are designed consisting of subjects math and reading, which cannot equate to neither full projection of our performance during college nor a summary of our knowledge throughout high school. The standardized tests are multiple choice questions, which do not allow test takers to abundantly demonstrate knowledge beyond the options provided. This emphasizes the fact that standardized tests do not measure meaningful understanding, according to James Coffin from the Association or Supervision and Curriculum Development. This accentuates the limited knowledge that standardized tests gather. They're not substantial enough to reflect valid information of a student's understanding of the material they've learned, as well as their academic achievements. A 2001 study published by Brookings Institution found that 50 to 80% of year-over-year test score improvements were temporary. This eliminates the inconsistency within standardized tests. The scores are only a brief reflection of how a student performed during that time, not the whole school year. Students' educational success are depicted by a single test taken in their junior year of high school. The reflection of honest academic achievement is only the beginning of the problem. Furthermore, standardized tests are subjective in terms of the questions, answers, and grading scores. Before I continue, we must know the definition of subjective. Subjectivity is basing something such as writing or information upon personal opinions, interpretations, perspectives, judgment, and emotions. Subjectivity enters in the selection and presentation of questions or in the subject matter and phrasing of both questions and answers. The only objectivity in the making of these standardized tests is scoring when performed by a machine. As stated by the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, all states have measurement error in some way, shape, or form which affects not only students but as the school as a whole. In 2003, 400 public schools in Illinois were labeled as failures due to widespread flaws in Illinois student test data. These facts display exactly how inaccurate standardized tests can be, how severely they impact schools and students, and how quickly they serve to judge or critique students and schools. In addition, the invalid scoring and biased questions influence the student's ability to truly display their maximum potential in an academic setting. The way in which a person phrases the questions or answers distorts the test taker's thinking pattern, which ultimately affects their score. Standardized tests, failure to be absolutely precise, should result in the failure of students/schools' trust in their ability. These assessments are transforming the way in which students are academically judged. As students, our intellect should be reflected by a system that is objectively designed to enhance our education, not to dampen our educational future. Henceforth, to abolish the use of standardized tests for college admissions or student achievement, we must stand together as a united bond. In order for students' knowledge to truly resemble on pieces of paper, we must alter the material the students are judged upon. Barber and Wildemuth suggest that as an alternative for standardized tests, students should take a criterion reference test to evaluate the accomplishments of specifically stated instructional objectives. This strategy will base students upon the objectives rather than comparison to other students on a larger scale. With this alternative, the test takers' achievement will grow. Students must unite and stand as a bonded group of young, thriving individuals whose wish is to only be reflected by the most accurate method. We should not accept anything that lessens our intelligence and triumphs throughout our years of education. As students, we truly do work hard for the grades and the grade point averages that we have. Therefore, to be represented by inaccurate scores that are supposed to reflect our knowledge is strictly upsetting. We must voice our opinions and perspectives of the many forms of standardized tests until we are heard and understood. In order for students to be precisely evaluated, a new technique must develop and standardized tests should be abolished. Overall, standardized tests do not completely portray students' achievements and they're awfully subjective. These factors of standardized tests limit a student's academic future due to the way and content students are judged upon. I understand that a system that has been utilized since the early 1900s is difficult to absolutely eliminate. However, it is possible to develop a more efficient process to evaluate students. With the abolishment of standardized tests, all students will equally have an opportunity to enhance their educational future. With standardized tests, students are often compared to one another, which ultimately leads to a contest between students. A fair system will eliminate that competition within students and create a bond within students striving to further themselves academically. As stated best by Albert Einstein, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Thank you.